Hello, everybody. It is your well woman practitioner, LaShanna Moore of Holistically Well. And you're joining me on My Well Life TV. I am coming to you because I want to talk with you about something very, very specific and important. So I want you to train your minds to stay with me and to listen to what it is that I want to share with you. This is a message for all of us. I was not sure at first whether or not to share, but after prayer and just consideration of listening to the Spirit of God, and this is for all of us, whether you are a faith believer or not, I knew that this was a message that, and it's the 1st of June at the time of this recording. How unique is that? Let me set this down. I'm not using my camera stand today. But anyway, here we are, the 1st of June, the second cycle of this year, 2022, second quarter of this year. And in preparing for this or to share this, let me also share with you really quickly a revelation that I received on abundance. This is going to bless you. So settle your minds to watch this video through its entirety and let your spirit sit with the spirit of what is shared here. Okay. What came to me, and this was through a conversation, was that our idea of abundance in its essence feels like it's a boom. It's an all of a sudden season where this weight of goodness is given to us, and abundance is a variety of sources and resources and blessings. That's what abundance is. It's not just one thing. It's not just monetary, but abundance in its essence is quite different. Abundance comes to us, or we experience abundance as a result of preparing and preserving or reserving, putting away or accumulating things, and we will run into, or we will encounter abundance that way as well as a result of. And so in listening to the Holy Spirit in sharing this today, I was like, wow, this too can be a time of abundance. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about the time to prepare ourselves for seasons to come, and a season that we actually are now in, where our abundance can be threatened, or our supply can be threatened. I say those words carefully and without the attempts or desire to provoke any kind of fear or franticness within us. I started probably the fall of last year, 2021, with this. The farming started then, not the gardening. Gardening, I found myself revisiting, wanting to enter the passion of gardening because I had seen it growing up, watched my mom as well. And when you go out there to garden, for those of you who are familiar, there is just this comfort and this peace and enjoyment of putting your hands in the soil and all of that. Great for your mental health. You're outdoors, you're getting natural vitamin D, you're building up your mitochondrial health, you're bringing in serotonin in your body, those chemical enzymes that make you feel good, that help with depression and anxiety. There are just a lot of benefits for being outdoors and a lot of benefits for gardening. But it was the latter part of last year where I found myself really being drawn to farming. And it was for various reasons. Number one, because I'm really big on the idea of community and the food insecurity that we see. So I wanted initially to go and start volunteering or joining forces with people who are already doing it. We don't have to invent everything. We don't have to, be the forerunner for everything. There are people out here doing things already that need our hands and our time. So I started with that. And then after that, I started looking into homesteading, ranching, farming, and home farming, hobby farming. Talk with my husband about it. Gene is very patient with me and understanding. We talked through a lot because, with me being in the holistic field and having a lot of thoughts that I do, he takes the time to listen. But this was different. It wasn't just because I wanted to do it. It was because I was feeling a need to do it. I was feeling a need to kind of return to what I had seen growing up with my grandmothers. And my parents used to have a farm. My mom was pregnant. I'm told the stories. My mom was pregnant, running around trying to catch chickens. So I'm not ready to start with the animals yet, but a hobby farm where we are growing our own crops. What we have been seeing, and this is true for all of us, what we have been seeing is the economic heaviness and weight of our nation, our community, and even our own homes. Now, granted, many of us are blessed. Even though we complain, we're still blessed at the end of the day to get what we need. And for those who are not able, then we lend a hand to help them. But it is evident through what the pandemic showed us. It is evident through what the gas hike has showed us. Anytime nations are at war, anytime there's a socioeconomic crisis or challenge, we have seen it with the shortage of the formula. We're living in times that we've heard about. We're living in times that we never thought we'd live in, or we're living in times where we were born right on the cusp or the back end of that era coming out of a recession. But we are here and we are in that. And so it started with just the whisper, and then the tap, and then the nudge, and then the push, and then the elevation of the volume of the voice. I know it to be the voice of God through the Holy Spirit. And so I have just little by little been putting away canned goods here at my home, revisiting jarring and canning like I had seen growing up with my mother and my grandmothers. Both of my grandmothers did it. And also, because I am a practitioner, I feel an extra responsibility to share a few things as it relates to the canning. Because of this hyper health community and society that we're in, there's a lot of fear mongering when it comes to food, when it comes to chemicals, when it comes to what we call healthy foods, processed foods, we demonize processed foods and canned goods. Don't get this, don't get that. There's a lot of information going on. Revelation has had to set in with me through the years of growing in this industry to revisit some things, to determine whether they are truth and whether they are even healthy mindsets to have. So listen to me really well here. Secondly, joining forces like it's so but joining forces in terms of building relationship with food scientists, a young lady who I'm going to actually have join us by the name of Allie Manning. She's a food scientist and talking to us about how food scientists are the ones, not your health experts, not your social media people, not your everyday dietitians who don't believe in this, or your nutritionists who don't believe in this aspect of what I'm about to say, not them. But the food scientists who actually tell us about real chemicals and ingredients and what's true and what's false, and how we have in this industry bombarded you with a lot of fear to where carbs are not your friend, and you're intermittent fasting, low-key starving yourself, and all of this stuff, right? So with all of that being said, number one, subscribe and be watching Well Life TV as well as the audio podcast. That's first. Number two, collect your canned goods. Canning is as old as the 18th century. There are some things to be mindful of, but they are very minute in the bigger picture, in the long scheme of why you're putting back, why you are preserving your vitamins, your A, your D, your E, your K. Those vitamins are contained in canned goods, and can provide a shelf life up to 1 to 5 years. They do not lose their nutrients. Frozen foods as well. So you're freezing food. Talked to Jean about getting the storage. I don't know if I've mentioned this already, but we have a very deep garage, a tandem garage. Blessed to have it. Get a storage out there where I can transfer things so that we can live while we stock. And then I'm thinking about community. But times are increasing in the necessity. Here's the message. Times are increasing in our necessity to see it for what it is and to put away. And I really believe this to be the nudging of God through the Holy Spirit. And then you begin to see what's happening around us, the gas and the hikes in prices and the meat and the hike in prices on everything. I mean, everything is escalated now. That doesn't mean that we will live in lack, and that doesn't mean that we're not financially secure. But it does make us stop and give, and wisdom should tell us to, all right, let's see what we see and know what we know. Right now, my short-term goal is 6 months. My long-term goal is a year, not just for us, because it's the two of us, but for my family and my friends and for people who will need it. Because if you are a believer and you're listening, that's what we're supposed to do. That's the work. That's the work of the kingdom. As I end this, because I don't want it to go too long, I want you to think about that. I really want you to ponder that. What are the seasons and the times telling us? Maybe even more intimately, what has God through the Holy Spirit been telling you? I think about, is it First Chronicles chapter 12, when they're talking about King David's army being assembled, but they get further down into the chapter, let me start quoting verses, maybe past verse 23, I know. And then they introduce the sons of Issachar, and they talk about the sons of Issachar were men who knew the times. They didn't just understand the times, they knew what to do because of the times. So life requires us to walk circumspect, to be wise, to be diligent, to stop being so busy and posting and living and accumulating and acquiring and moving around to feel validated by acquisitions. Stop and think and feel and sense, and then look and see and feel and sense what's happening, and then it will all make sense. There was always in the Bible a priest, a seer, a prophet, an elder, and your everyday people as well. Let's not sensationalize it. God would use who he desired, who would come and reveal through dream or dream interpretation, or a share through the revelation of God of what was to come or how the people needed to prepare. So not too far off from modern day, from 21st century. That's what I would like for us to really think about. I did not and will not sensationalize it. Doesn't have to be. But I want your spirit to listen to the spirit of this message and think about that. And I will be posting videos on some things and some shares as well as the audio. So again, make sure that you're subscribed and that you share this. This is the first day of June in 2022. Harvesting happens all year. It's not always just harvest season. There are harvest seasons for certain things, certain crops, certain produce per year based on the climate. I'm learning now how to create my raised beds, soil beds for our planting. And it will just go in phase by phase. And then the preserving and the canning, returning to all of those things. Allow this time to be a time of joy and revelation and fruitfulness, that we are blessed to see things aforetime, that we're blessed to prepare, and that we're blessed to be a blessing, and that we are blessed to receive knowledge and inspiration and prophetic, whatever it may be, through doing these things. So have hope in this. Do not walk away fearful. Media does a grand enough job for invoking fear. Be discerning and wise when you watch, but always go to your source. All right. This has been your well woman practitioner, LaShanna Moore, aka LaShanna, aka Shan, however you know me, sharing this with you. As I always say, be well and be whole until the next time.